Hello, Year 11. Um, Put something together here, just a sort of reminder really of some revision skills. We've been teaching you and you've been practicing revision skills, well, for the last 2 years certainly, and quite intensely up until the lockdown through tutor times and so on. But just put this little slideshow together to remind you, excuse me, of some of the points that you need to remember to effectively revise. Because revision is one of those subjects where it's easy to drift towards the things that are easy. You have to challenge yourself relentlessly. Revision, and as I'll say later in the slideshow, you have to be counterintuitive. Go to the things that you're not good at. Don't be satisfied with that warm feeling you get of revising something that you're very good at. And when you're revising A levels, B techs, whatever it is, apprenticeships, whatever it is that you're doing next, hopefully you're doing something for the most part that you quite like. So it shouldn't be the hard graft that perhaps it was when you're having to study subjects that you're not keen on. Anyway, onward. This is recall and retrieval based, because that is the most effective form of revision. It's unarguable. The research supports it. It's an actual thing, Year 11, that retrieval practice, if done properly, is the way to revise. So don't waste your time doing anything else. Just to prove that, 66% of material is forgotten after 7 days, 88% of material was forgotten after 6 weeks, and this is the zinger. Reading notes and textbooks only leads to 10% retention. So we have to focus on the information that we want to learn, and then develop retrieval techniques that allow us to do that. But before we can do any of that, we have to get ourselves organised. Uh, if you're going on to college and university, you're going to need a place to study at home as well as away. So you've got to find yourself a spot, and this applies also to BTECs, to apprenticeships, all of equal value, all involve learning. And let's be honest, life involves constantly learning, particularly today. Things change so quickly that you need a space to make sense of all these things. But first of all, you need to create a place where you can study. You need a desk, ideally. You can, or a space, a table somewhere. You can get desks quite cheaply. What you need to make your task specific and realistic. Don't say, I'm going to revise the whole. I'm an English teacher, so I'm probably going to talk in terms of English. I'm going to reread the whole of Romeo and Juliet and keep putting it off till 4 days before you need to know it. You need to break things down and be specific and realistic about what you can learn. And back to the counterintuitive thing, how revise the things you don't know. Don't keep going over the things you do know. You can go over them occasionally. It gives you a nice warm feeling to know all the answers to something. But be counterintuitive. Work on the things you don't know. Work on the things you're weak at. Now, when different times of day work for different people. In teenagers, the research says, research is about huge demographics of people. You may be the one or two persons that don't fall into that, but for the most part, teenagers don't work well in the morning. So you might want to think about revising in the afternoon and perhaps into the evening. I personally am a morning person, but we're all different. So work out when is working best for you and why. Well, your exams. Also, learning is good for the brain. That's something that will resonate with you when you get a bit older. Listen to this though. Intelligence isn't an algorithm that you're born with. All those smart kids at school who seem to do things very easily at primary and so on, and a lot of them have gone on to be hugely successful. Sometimes children don't see the point of learning, and intelligence fades. It's not an algorithm that you're born with. It doesn't stay the same. And if you didn't do so well at primary and perhaps even at secondary, if you keep working, you will do better. You will become more intelligent. It's a fact. It's not a lottery of birth, not completely anyway. You can become more intelligent by working harder, giving yourself goals and achieving them. And I'm not just saying that, that's the absolute truth. Right, make a timetable and stick to it. This is across all subjects we're talking here, but you know, you've got to know what it is that you need to know. And you'll know that from the work that you've done in lessons in college or wherever. So know your topics and subtopics. Plan when you are going to study. That's literally a timetable, and we've just talked about how you might want to do it later in the day rather than early, or not. It's proven that, you know, going for over an hour is you start to you're wasting your time really after an hour, and perhaps even shorter bursts than that. Personally, and I had some success with my year 11 tutor group, 15 or 20-minute bursts of kind of high focus work and then a break was very successful. And also timetabling some physical exercise. You've probably done that now with the lockdown. You're probably going out for a walk or a run or whatever at certain times of the day. Don't stop doing that. It's incredibly important that you continue to do that. Now here's some actual revision tactics. Mind maps. Now these were fantastic. I had, as I've said already, a year 11 tutor group, and we used to do the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday thing. Mind map from memory on any given subject on day 1. Day 2, use notes to add to the mind map in a different colour. And then day 3, make flashcards of the things that you had to add on day 2. That is a fantastic and very effective technique that goes across all subjects. Perhaps not so much English, to be honest, because we've got a lot of skills like essay writing and so on. But in terms of retention and knowing what it is that you need to know, those mind maps are very good. Keywords you can put onto post-its, put them around your house. Flashcards, of course, that comes out of the mind map thing. Podcasts, there are loads of podcasts out there that you can listen to, certainly for English, and I'm sure there are for every other subject. Highlighting work, exam questions and mark scheme. Writing your own exam questions, and acronyms. You know what acronyms are? Like PEAL, point, evidence, analysis, link, those types of things. Now we're sort of expanding out now into a little less specific because it's about all subjects, so it's up to you to decide what works. But after, I would argue, no more than a 1-hour revision session, and possibly even micro breaks in there, you need to highlight the parts that you're struggling with. You need to you could do all of these or any one or two of them. You could write an exam question that relates to the work that you've been doing and use the mark scheme. Make sure what you're doing is working towards the mark scheme, because that's what the examiners have normally anyway, right in front of them when they're looking at your work. Writing your own exam questions, that's very effective, I think. And acronyms again. Anyway, good luck with all your endeavours, Year 11, I have to say. I think you're a lovely group. It's been a pleasure working with you, and I hope to see some or all of you again at some time. Anyway, good luck. That's Mr. Houghton talking.